Shalom, shalom. Following Yeshua. Answering a quick question. Well, I'm gonna try to answer the question quickly, but the question is a person new to preparedness, and when they look at preparedness online, they find a lot of guns and gear type of videos. But they want to know, and they can see the things that are happening in this world, and they want to know what can they do, what things should they get, what should they do, yada yada yada. They don't have a bunch of disposable income, and they live near a larger city, but not dead smack in the middle of the large city. They have their own house, you know, on what I call the UFO homes, the housing communities, something like that. Smaller backyard, small front yard, no HOA though. What can they do? So here's what I would start. I started doing this back when I was living dead smack in the middle of the city, dead smack in the middle of the hood, to be honest. And the thing I looked at first was, when I was new to this, was what are the things that I need every single day? Food, water. I would even suggest, so when I say food and water, I'm talking about buy some things that are what the term shelf stable. Buy things that you can put back. Buy some bags of rice. Buy some beans. I'm more of a rice fan than I am beans. Buy some corn, some dried corn. You'd be surprised that you can find corn for a decent price in bulk. Buy dried grains, things that you can just put water in and eat. That would also mean you'd have to have water. And storing water can be a hassle because water takes up a lot of room. I'm not going to get into how much water for this person, how much water for that person. You can find that online. But water. You're going to need food and you're going to need water. Believe it or not, most of the water you're going to be required to have is drinking water. You'd be surprised at how long you can go without taking a shower before you start smelling like absolute death. And we're talking about a preparedness survival type situation. So we're not talking about, today in society, today people shower every day. People shower twice a day and they don't do anything. They don't do anything, but they're taking showers. They don't sweat, but they're taking showers. Always taking showers. Always, so you're going to have to start putting your mind into the most of the water that you're going to be saving and putting back is drinking water. Do you have a garage? Great place to put water. If you live in an apartment, do you have a separate garage? They have a lot of apartments where a lot of the garage is lined up. Great place to put back water. Great place to store water. Balconies, great place to store water. Back of closets, great places to under your bed, under your couch, behind your entertainment. There's plenty of places that you can store water and store this food. Then you can watch videos on how to store food. I've done videos here on this channel. You can look on this channel on videos of me opening up 10-year rice and 12-year rice, I think it is, from Mylar bags that I stored. And you can follow that method, but there's also simpler methods. If you just had a nice, large, rotating stock of food, you'd be way ahead than everybody else. The next thing I would say is look at, maybe you put this right. I would put these three together: food, water, clothing. But this next thing, especially clothing. If you live in a colder area, have clothing that's going to keep you warm. Buy some wool. Or you can go to Walmart right about this time of the year right now and get those thicker work socks that they sell. It's like 2 packs for $10 or something like that. 3 packs for $10. You can buy some of those, put those back. Long johns, you know the drill. If you live in colder northern climates, you know what to buy to keep warm. I'm not going to go through all that, but medical supplies. And what I mean by medical supplies is not just the Band-Aids, the hydrogen peroxides, or rubbing alcohols. I'm talking about, think of what you use daily. Are you on prescription meds? Praise Yah, I'm not. Praise Yah, I'm not. Or you have asthma. That's one of the things that I think a lot of asthmatics don't have, or people who suffer from asthma don't have, their inhaler. I'm not saying to go and do this, but you can also get Primatene Mist. Because the average person, people say, what about herbs? Well, the average person who lives in a city is not going to be growing mullein. I'm just saying. You could take some space in your backyard and grow mullein, which is, look at the benefits of mullein. Again, I'm not a doctor. I can only tell you what I use. Mullein, there's a lot of other herbs that will help you as far as your lungs and your respiratory system. But get something that's going to help you in case you have a asthmatic situation or any other situation that you may have. I know prescription meds are hard to come by, but if you can, maybe put a little bit of money back on some herbs. Work on the systems that you have problems with now. If you have high blood pressure, rather than relying on your high blood pressure meds, why don't you get up and be active? Eat better. Like today, now, instead of waiting for these situations to happen. So medications, medical supplies, great idea. I'm also going to say firearm, because especially living in the city. But I'm not talking about firearm like you see on these YouTube channels where people banter and argue about, can you drop your gun off the Empire State Building, pick it up, and still fire? I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about everybody's going to be a Rambo and going to go out there and wear, your $500 or $1,000 piece of glass is going to make that much of a difference. I'm talking about something to protect yourself. You can protect yourself, believe it or not, with a shotgun. You can protect yourself. Maybe I wouldn't. It wouldn't be necessarily be the best choice, but you can defend yourself with a .22 rifle. You can. You can get each one of those things. You can get all of the things that are required, except for the .22 if you need magazines. If you got your .22 and it wasn't tube fed and you needed magazines, you can get your .22, your ammo, and if you wanted to put a cheap red dot on it, I would just stick with the regular iron sights, or a scope, from Walmart. You can get yourself a 12 gauge, 4+1 shotgun from Walmart. Then you just go and get, the ammo. You can get birdshot, but you could go and go online and get yourself some slugs or some buck, and bam, you have protection. I'm not talking about you need to go out there. Sure, would it be nice if you can go out there and spend 700, 800, 900, $1,000 on a AR-15 and da 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 da. You see, the problem is a lot of people who have those sort of things. I mean, a lot of people. They will have tons of firearms. They don't have an adequate supply of food, medical supplies. They're not in good shape, but they'll banter and argue about the type of firearm you need and this type of barrel and this type of red dot and are your internals, your bolt carrier group, this quality and nickel boron, and they'll argue about that sort of stuff and not have the food. Next thing so those are the things that I would cover. And then from there, you can kind of broaden out. Another thing I would put in there is having gas in your vehicle. Have some food in your vehicle. Granola bars are a great thing. Great thing you could have in your car. Something that you could, and I would say bottled water. It's surprising how many people don't keep bottled water in their vehicle. That's in case something happens, and since you live in the city, you may have to go mobile. You may have to get home in a bad situation. And walking maybe do you have a good pair of walking shoes? If you're a sister or a woman, you wear heels. Do you have a good pair of walking shoes? If you're a man and you habitually wear flip-flops, gosh, the flip-flops. Do you have a good pair of walking shoes to get home in? Socks. My mom used to always say, keep a good pair of underwear. So just in case you don't want to embarrass the household, you get in an accident and you crap in your underwear. I'm like, the last thing I'm gonna be worried about if I'm trapped in a car is changing my underwear. But those are just some of the basics that you can cover. If you can cover food, water, medication, medical supplies, warm clothing, heat. Do you have if the gas goes out, if the electricity goes out, do you have the ability to heat water to cook your rice? Do you have the ability to heat water to cook your beans? Do you have the ability? So you're gonna need some heat. You're gonna need to be able to, but also that comes loaded because some people don't have the common sense to not light a fire in the middle of their living room. Don't bring the grill that you keep on your patio into the house and light a fire in there. You'll die. So don't do that. But Those are just some options, some things you can think about, and then from there you can broaden out. But cover the basics first. Most people are, it's like walking up a flight of stairs. Most people are trying to jump to step 5, but they haven't done step 1, 2, 3, or 4. So you have all the great guns, but no food, no water, not enough. You'll have thousands of dollars in gear and $150 in your medical supplies. There's a higher probability that you're going to need food, water, medications. If you're on medications, praise y'all, we are not on medications. But if you're on medications, if there's a higher probability that you're going to suffer from your lack of physical conditioning than you are, needing your firearm in most cases. So that's a quick answer. I could go in depth to this thing. I could talk about this thing for a long time and break things down and how much food and how much water. But the average person, if you just put up a month worth of food in your house, you'd be better off than, I would roughly say, 95% of people in this country. And if a bad situation happens, the one thing you don't want to have to do is you don't want to have to move immediately. You would like stuff to clear out before you have to get up and get out. Either you bug out before the stuff happens, or you want to be able to stay sheltered where you are and ride it out as much as you can, as long as you possibly can. After that, you can go into gardening. You can talk about many other different things, but that would depend on your location, and do you have the room, and how are your neighbors, and do you have, there's a lot of other things that go into that, but that's just the basics. Food, water, medications, and then a way to protect yourself. And I'm talking about just a way. All right, so hope that gives you an answer. I may do another video that expands a little bit on this, but for now, hopefully that covers the basics. Bless y'all. Shalom.